New York, a city of dreams. Towers of glass and steel pierce the sky, reflecting the ambitions of millions. But beneath this dazzling facade, a different story unfolds. Amidst the cacophony of honking taxis and chattering crowds, a small, unassuming restaurant stands as a beacon of warmth and luxury. Inside, crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow on mahogany tables draped in crisp white linen. Tonight, in this very restaurant, one such seed is about to be sown. Amani Johnson, a young black woman with a smile that could melt the coldest New York winter, moves through the crowded restaurant with the grace of a seasoned performer. Her steps are light, her movements precise, her eyes constantly scanning for the slightest flicker of a need from her demanding clientele. For Amani, this job is more than just a paycheck. It's a lifeline. It's the thin thread that holds her dreams together, the dreams of a better life for herself and her family. But tonight, a different kind of hunger lingers in the air, a hunger that even the most expensive dish on the menu cannot satisfy. Amani feels it the moment the man steps through the door. A hush falls over the room as the man hesitates at the entrance. His eyes, weathered by years of hardship, dart nervously around the opulent surroundings. He clutches a worn cap in his hands, a symbol of humility in a room overflowing with pride. Whispers like the rustling of autumn leaves skitter across the room. Forks pause mid-air, suspended between plates piled high with gourmet delicacies and mouths twisted in expressions of thinly veiled disgust. The maitre d', a man whose perfectly coiffed hair and condescending smile are his most prized possessions, approaches the unexpected guest with a practiced air of disdain. The message is clear. This is not a place for charity, for empathy, for humanity. Amani watches the scene unfold, her heart heavy with a familiar ache. She knows the sting of judgment, the weight of other people's expectations pressing down on her like a physical burden. A silent anger, a simmering ember of defiance ignites within her. Without a word, Amani sets down the silver tray she's carrying and strides towards the entrance. Her steps are purposeful now, her gaze steady, her spirit a beacon of warmth in the cold indifference of the room. She reaches the man just as the maitre d' is about to usher him out, her voice a calm but firm interjection in the hushed atmosphere. A wave of murmurs, like a sudden gust of wind through dry leaves, sweeps across the room as Amani leads the man to a small, unoccupied table near the back. Heads turn, eyebrows raise, whispers dart from one table to another. The man, his face etched with a mixture of gratitude and apprehension, seems to shrink under the scrutiny of the room. Amani pulls out a chair for him, her movements deliberate and respectful, as if he were a king gracing her humble establishment with his presence. The maitre d', his face a mask of barely suppressed fury, scurries after Amani, his voice a hissed whisper meant only for her ears. But Amani stands her ground, her chin held high, her eyes blazing with a quiet defiance that surprises even herself. The man, his name is Hector, orders a simple meal, soup and bread. He eats slowly, savoring each bite as if it were his last. In his eyes, Amani sees a lifetime of hardship, of struggles endured and battles fought. But she also sees a spark of hope, a flicker of gratitude that warms her heart. Throughout his meal, Amani tends to Hector with quiet attentiveness, refilling his water glass, offering him a warm smile. She ignores the disapproving glances from other diners, the whispers that follow her every move. As Hector finishes his meal, a look of worry crosses his face. Amani, sensing his distress, places a reassuring hand on his arm. As the last few diners filter out into the night, leaving a trail of expensive perfume and empty promises in their wake, Amani finds herself alone with the weight of her decision. The maitre d', his face a mask of triumph, informs her that she will be docked the price of Hector's meal from her wages. It's a blow, a significant dent in her already meagre earnings. But as she looks out at the city lights twinkling like a million fallen stars, she knows she wouldn't have had it any other way. The night is cold, the wind biting through her thin coat as she makes her way home. But deep inside, a flicker of warmth remains. She may be just one person, but tonight she chose kindness. The following morning, Amani carries the weight of her compassion like a stone in her gut. The restaurant, bustling with the breakfast rush, feels different, the air thick with unspoken judgment. The other waitstaff, their smiles strained, avoid her gaze. The maitre d', his eyes gleaming with malicious satisfaction, watches her every move. Marcus, the restaurant manager, confronts Amani with a cold fury. He relegates her to the most menial tasks, a silent punishment meant to break her spirit. The lunch rush descends upon the restaurant with the ferocity of a summer storm. Amani, her body aching, her spirit weary, navigates the chaos with a forced smile plastered on her face. Then, through the revolving door, a familiar figure steps into the restaurant, casting a long shadow across the polished marble floor. Hector, but he's not alone. Beside him stands a young woman, her eyes mirroring his warmth, her hand resting lightly on his arm. Elena. Amani watches as Hector and Elena are ushered to a small table near the back, the same table where Hector sat alone the night before. They order a simple meal, but Amani notices the way they eat sparingly, as if savoring each bite, as if stretching their meager resources to last as long as possible. Her heart aches for them, for the silent struggles they endure, for the invisible burdens they carry. As Hector and Elena prepare to leave, Amani discreetly gathers leftover food from the kitchen, carefully wrapping it in napkins and placing it in a brown paper bag. Her heart pounds in her chest as she approaches their table. Just as Amani slips the bag of food into Hector's hand, a shadow falls across the table. Marcus, his face a mask of cold fury, stands behind them, his eyes burning with a venomous rage. "Get out!" he spits, his voice laced with venom, each word a poisoned dart aimed at Amani's heart. Amani stands frozen, her body trembling with a mixture of fear and indignation. She knows she's crossed a line, defied the unspoken rules of this opulent establishment, but in her heart she knows she's done nothing wrong. She chose compassion over cruelty, kindness over indifference. Hector's hand tightens around the bag of food, his knuckles turning white. The warmth of the package, a symbol of Amani's kindness, feels like a brand against his skin, a stark contrast to the icy venom spewing from Marcus's mouth. He sees the fear in Amani's eyes, the way she shrinks under Marcus's verbal assault, and a primal rage, a protective instinct he hasn't felt in years, surges within him. He steps forward, placing himself between Amani and Marcus. "That's enough," he says, each word a hammer blow against the stunned silence of the restaurant. Elena, her initial fear giving way to a quiet anger, moves to stand beside her brother, her presence a silent but unwavering support. Marcus, his face flushed with anger, opens his mouth to unleash another tirade, but the words die in his throat as Hector reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a sleek platinum credit card, the kind issued only to those whose wealth transcends the limitations of mere gold. The air crackles with tension as Hector tosses the card onto a nearby table, the sound echoing through the stunned silence of the restaurant. "I believe this covers any outstanding debts," he says, his voice laced with an icy calmness that sends shivers down Marcus's spine. Marcus stares at the card, his eyes widening in recognition. His arrogance, his carefully constructed facade of power, crumbles like a poorly built sandcastle under the weight of Hector's quiet authority. Hector straightens, his gaze sweeping across the room, taking in the stunned faces of the diners, the fear in Marcus's eyes, the quiet dignity in Amani's stance. "My name," he says, his voice resonating with a quiet power, "is Hector Ramirez. And this, he gestures to Eleanor, who stands beside him, her chin held high, is my sister Eleanor. A collective gasp ripples through the restaurant. The name Hector Ramirez, whispered in hushed tones in boardrooms and high society gatherings, carries a weight that transcends the confines of this opulent eatery. He is a titan of industry, a philanthropist, a man whose name is synonymous with success, integrity, and a deep-seated compassion for those less fortunate. You judged us by our clothes, our circumstances, and in doing so you revealed the poverty of your own spirit. Hector turns to Amani, his gaze softening. You, on the other hand, he says, his voice filled with warmth and admiration, saw us. You saw beyond the rough edges, beyond the circumstances, and you offered kindness without judgment. You reminded me that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can shine through. He pauses, letting the weight of his words settle over the stunned silence of the restaurant. Therefore, he continues, I'm pleased to announce that my sister and I have decided to purchase this establishment. A wave of gasps, this time laced with a mixture of shock and anticipation, sweeps through the room. Marcus, his face a mask of defeat, knows that his reign of arrogance is over. Hector fixes Marcus with a steely gaze. Consider this your 2 weeks' notice, he says, his voice brooking no argument. He then turns to Amani, his eyes twinkling with a mischievous light. Amani, he says, his voice filled with warmth and respect. Would you do us the honor of running this restaurant? I believe your heart is the ingredient that's been missing from this establishment. Tears well up in Amani's eyes, tears of gratitude, of relief, of hope. In that moment, surrounded by the shattered remnants of arrogance and the blossoming seeds of compassion, she knows that her life will never be the same. The kindness she offered, the compassion she dared to show in a world that seemed to have forgotten its meaning, has come back to her 1,000-fold. The journey ahead may be challenging, but she's ready, her heart overflowing with the knowledge that even the smallest act of kindness can change everything. A wave of warmth washes over Amani, a stark contrast to the icy dread that had gripped her just moments before. Hector's words, filled with such unexpected generosity and belief in her, resonate deep within her soul. Her mind races, trying to grasp the magnitude of his offer, to find the words to express the wellspring of emotions bubbling within her. She opens her mouth to speak, but all that emerges is a choked sob, a release of the fear and uncertainty that had been her constant companions for far too long. Tears stream down her face, tears that speak of years of struggle, of dreams deferred, and now, finally, of hope reborn. Hector, his expression a mix of understanding and encouragement, gently takes her hand. No need for words, my dear, he says, his voice as warm and comforting as a summer breeze. Your actions have spoken volumes. He reaches into his briefcase, retrieves a document, and places it gently on the table before her. The days that follow Hector's life-altering announcement are a whirlwind of activity. The once haughty atmosphere of the restaurant melts away like snow in springtime, replaced by a vibrant energy that hums with anticipation and hope. Amani, her heart overflowing with gratitude and determination, throws herself into the task of transforming the restaurant, her vision guided by Hector's unwavering support and her own innate sense of compassion. Gone are the starched white tablecloths, symbols of an exclusivity that left no room for genuine human connection. In their place, Amani chooses warm, inviting colors, fabrics that whisper of comfort and welcome. The harsh glare of the overhead lights is softened, replaced by a warm, inviting glow that illuminates not just the tables but the faces of the people gathered around them. The menu, once a testament to culinary extravagance accessible only to the privileged few, undergoes a transformation as profound as the restaurant itself. Amani, guided by her own experiences and her deep understanding of the community's needs, creates a menu that celebrates the richness and diversity of their neighborhood. Word spreads quickly through the community, carried on the wings of hope and the aroma of freshly baked bread, of Amani's restaurant, now rechristened the Open Heart. It becomes more than just a place to eat. It's a gathering place, a sanctuary, a beacon of warmth and belonging in a city that can often feel cold and unforgiving. Families, their faces etched with the joys and challenges of daily life, gather around tables laden with steaming bowls of pasta, their laughter mingling with the clinking of glasses. Young couples, their eyes locked in the silent language of love, share candle-lit dinners, the glow of their happiness reflected in the warmth of the surrounding lights. Elderly neighbours, their faces etched with the wisdom of years lived and stories told, gather for morning coffee, their conversations a comforting murmur that fills the air with a sense of shared history and belonging. The homeless, the struggling, the forgotten souls find a place at Amani's tables, welcomed with warmth and respect. Amani watches as Hector and Elena share a meal with children from a local shelter. Stories of humble beginnings inspire and uplift. In the warmth of shared laughter and home-cooked meals, Amani finds her purpose in serving others. Amidst the city's hustle, she creates a space where humanity thrives. A simple meal can nourish the soul. Amani's story, a testament to the power of compassion in a world often driven by indifference, doesn't end within the warm embrace of the open heart. It ripples outward like a stone cast into a still pond, its impact felt far beyond the restaurant's inviting doors. Stories of Amani's kindness, of her unwavering belief in the inherent worth of every human being, spread through the community and beyond, carried on the whispers of the wind, the shared smiles of strangers, the hopeful posts that bloom across social media. People touched by her story begin to see the world through a different lens, a lens that magnifies the power of small acts of compassion, of the extraordinary impact that can unfold when we choose kindness over indifference. Across the city, inspired by Amani's example, seeds of compassion begin to take root and blossom. A young boy, witnessing his mother's struggle to carry groceries, rushes to help an elderly woman cross the street, his small act of kindness bringing a smile to her wrinkled face. A group of volunteers, their hearts touched by Amani's unwavering commitment to serving those in need, gather at a local homeless shelter, their hands working tirelessly to prepare and serve meals, their laughter and shared purpose filling the space with a warmth that transcends the chill of the evening air. A woman passing a crying child on the street pauses, her heart echoing with the memory of Amani's own struggles, and offers a comforting word, a gentle touch, a moment of human connection that soothes the child's tears and reminds them that they are not alone. Amani's story becomes a catalyst, a gentle nudge that awakens the dormant potential for kindness that resides within us all. It reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming need, even when surrounded by the deafening roar of indifference, our choices matter. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to ignite a spark of hope, to create a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate sphere of influence. It reminds us that we are all interconnected, that our actions, both great and small, have the power to shape the world around us. The question is, what will you choose? Will you be a passive observer in the theatre of life, content to watch as the drama of human suffering unfolds before your eyes? Or will you step onto the stage, embrace your role as an agent of change, and offer the world the gift of your compassion? The sun sets on another day in the city, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink, and purple, a reminder that even in the midst of darkness, there is always the promise of a new dawn. Inside the open heart, the air is alive with the sounds of laughter, conversation, and the comforting clinking of silverware. Amani, her heart overflowing with gratitude, surveys the bustling scene, her eyes taking in the faces of those gathered around her tables. Families sharing meals, friends reconnecting, strangers brought together by the simple act of breaking bread. She sees not just customers, but human beings, each with their own story to tell, their own struggles and triumphs, their own unique and valuable contributions to make to the tapestry of life. And in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of shared humanity, Amani knows that she has created something truly special. a place where kindness prevails, where hope flourishes, and where the transformative power of compassion continues to change lives. One meal, one smile, one act of kindness at a time.